Are the enemies aggressive and punishing like OG Ninja Gaiden 2, yet fast to kill, or are they passive damage sponges like Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma? This is from a hardcore Ninja Gaiden fan here, I can tell. What's happening, friends? Brian McCaffrey here with Mitchell Saltzman. We have both played the recent preview build of Ninja Gaiden 4. Mitchell, you were kind enough to actually write up the preview and do our video. Did a great job on it, as you always do. You actually have the skills here. I'm just an old Ninja Gaiden head from back in the OG Xbox days, so
I'm getting up there too, Ryan.
I thought we could each bring our perspectives here, but the point of this video is to answer the viewer questions that they had after watching your video preview. So we've collected them from IGN, from YouTube, from wherever else this video was posted. So let's just dive in, because we've actually got a lot of great viewer questions here. This is probably going to be a somewhat long video, and I don't want to waste any time. Let's get into it. So our first question is a pretty simple one that I know you can answer. What are the difficulty levels for this one? Difficulty being, of course, famously attached to Ninja Gaiden. And I know you play on Master Ninja, don't you?
You think way too highly of me. My preferred difficulty for Ninja Gaiden is actually hard. I think Master Ninja ramps it up to a point where the way that I have to play in order to survive at that level of difficulty is like a very kind of safe, kind of no risks involved kind of style, where I have to like really focus on defense and making sure that I'm not leaving myself open to any kind of counterattack, because they will, if they touch you, it's a real bad day. But hard I think is the sweet spot for me in terms of, I'm still able to play in the way that I like. I have to use all of my tools available, and it's just kind of like that right amount of friction that I kind of want to get out of this game. But yeah, as you said, it's easy, normal, hard, and Master Ninja. Those are the 4 difficulty levels, and I don't think there's going to be any differences, in the full game. But I'm not sure.
Probably not. Yeah,
Probably
that's
not.
most likely what we're going to deal with. Unless maybe in a New Game Plus, maybe there could be something else. We just don't know for sure. Our next question. Although I'm liking the look of Yakumo, I was wondering if you think by what you played that Ryu will have multiple weapons or just one weapon.
So this has actually been confirmed in an interview with, I believe, The Gamer. If someone else did that interview first and then was just reposted, I apologize. But it has been confirmed that Ryu will only have the one weapon, and that other weapons will be added as DLC. In lieu of that, Ryu also has access to Ninpo, which Yakumo does not have. So he's got, I've only seen Art of Inferno. I believe he has some others that are, returning from other Ninja Gaiden games. Here's the thing. I didn't really get to play as Ryu in the kind of story kind of fashion. The way my preview worked was that I played the prologue, I played chapter 1 up to that boss that I talked about in the preview, and then you hit the title screen, basically. You're kicked out. And then you can go back into kind of like a challenge mode, and then you can replay the levels as whichever character you want. You can play either Yakumo or you can play Ryu, and there's 2 extra levels that were added on top of that. So I didn't really get the sense of Ryu's progression, what he has unlocked from the start and what he has to unlock later on, or what his actual story levels are gonna look like. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers the question.
Well, you just answered that for me too, because I will say I've been, and I did the first preview for IGN, the first hands-on back in June, and you and I both came away, by the way, with the same conclusion, which is that this game is making us both extraordinarily happy so far, that we are super psyched about it, and it seems like a true return to form for the series after 3 and then the long hiatus from the mainline games. But yeah, I'm one that I always loved playing around with all the different weapons depending on the situation in both Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. So if Ryu really only has one weapon and then more are going to get added as DLC, I don't love that.
Yeah, and what I'll add also is that while 3 was definitely kind of a misstep, Razor's Edge actually improved a lot of that game.
True.
And it made it into I think a game that's worthy of being part of the Ninja Gaiden trilogy. It went in such a different direction in terms of the combat compared to the first 2 games, and Ninja Gaiden 4, I think, really brings it back to like, oh, this is the successor to the style of Ninja Gaiden in Ninja Gaiden 2. This is an iterative style of gameplay that builds on what Ninja Gaiden 2 did, which I think is one of the things that's really exciting about it.
All right, let's keep moving here. We've got so many questions to get to.
Sure.
Are the enemies aggressive and punishing like OG Ninja Gaiden 2, yet fast to kill, or are they passive damage sponges like Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma? This is from a hardcore Ninja Gaiden fan here, I can tell.
It reminds me of Ninja Gaiden 2. There are times where you just do a flying swallow, lop an enemy's head off, and you're done. That's it. that guy's dead. There are also times where, like, you'll do a whole combo on them and they'll still get up. So it is kind of that thing of, sometimes the random number generator will just work in your favor and you'll just lop an enemy's head off. Other times you need to work a little harder.
That is just the best feeling, though, when it's just a one hit. It's like, oh, I don't think he's getting back up.
It's something so unique to Ninja Gaiden. It's one of the things I love most about that combat system.
Absolutely. From the same user, Serious Peaches asks, how's the performance? Any Unreal Engine 5 stutter? Before you answer, we of course have to caveat by saying we were playing this in late July, early August. Game's not out till October, so there will inevitably be more performance optimization. But with that said, go ahead, Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, nothing. Look, I don't have the game that I can like boot up and like check it right now. But while I was playing, nothing stood out to me. It felt smooth. It felt good. It looked great. I have no complaints about the performance.
I would echo the same thing, and I would point out too that the first time that I played it, for the preview I did, the first hands-on in June, that was on a PC, almost certainly a high-end PC. I don't actually know what the specs were because it was at a Microsoft event. But then your preview, again, that we both played the build of, was off of a Series X, and it ran awesomely. It was every bit what you'd expect, a smooth 60. Now, we're not our friends at Digital Foundry, so we don't have like the frame-by-frame analysis, but all signs are pointing to it running really, really well. One more from Serious Peaches, who asks, are there secondary weapons like windmill shuriken and incendiary shuriken?
I would have to guess that there are, but in my preview build, I just had shurikens.
Yeah. All right, keeping it moving here. Next question, can you instantly cancel attack animations with a block or dodge like in most other Platinum games? The original Ninja Gaiden games always had attack commitment, so wondering if those are still here in Ninja Gaiden 4.
So I believe, and this all just goes back to me saying that it feels like Ninja Gaiden, I believe it's the same where I don't think you can cancel an attack with a guard, but what you can do is cancel an attack with a shuriken. It's called the shuriken cancel, and that's what you use a lot when you're trying to cut your combo short so you can restart a combo rather than going deeper into the combo tree. So you can still do that, absolutely. But I don't think that there's guard canceling the same way that there is in a Bayonetta or I don't even know if I don't think Bayonetta has block canceling. I think it has dodge canceling. But no, I don't think so.
Okay. Next, Darkwing Spartan asks, how did you feel about Ryu apparently only having one weapon compared to Yakumo's 4 or 5? Does he have anything to make up for it? Does his kit seem limited? I guess you kind of hit on this already.
A little bit, yeah. Again, because I didn't play with him in a story capacity, I only played through the same levels as Yakumo. I didn't really get the sense that he was missing anything. But, I think what's important to note is that weapons in Ninja Gaiden have always kind of been more about flavor than anything else. There are certain weapons that do better in certain enemy encounters, but for the most part, you can use the Dragon Sword throughout the whole game. Oh, yeah. It's just a matter of, do you want to mix it up? And, what weapon do you actually prefer using? So, as someone who's played the heck out of these games, the Dragon Sword has always been my favorite weapon for Ryu, so I unfortunately didn't really miss not having other weapons, because in this limited time period for this preview, I probably would just use the Dragon Sword anyway. The weapons that Yakumo has are pretty cool, though. He has like this kind of lance almost like dagger lance that transforms into a giant drill, and that's where the platinum influence also really feels like, this feels like a platinum weapon, and he can like jump up into the air, drill it into the ground, it can extend. It's really, really cool.
Let's see. Still talking about weapons. Was there real-time weapon switching in the preview? If so, how does the game balance difficulty around it?
Yes, and I think it's more of a flavor thing. I think it's just something, if you want to be really fancy, you can do to, swap between your weapons mid-combo. The B-roll that we were provided, the footage in the preview, by the way, was provided B-roll. It wasn't my own B-roll, as much as I would like to lay claim to it. I feel like I had some pretty cool B-roll of my own that I could have captured, but they really went above and beyond in terms of the B-roll that they captured for this. But I think if you look at that B-roll, you can kind of see the real-time weapon swapping.
Yeah, I'm glad they provided good B-roll, because otherwise the comments would have been full of people telling us how much we suck at the game.
And I would have been so mad that I couldn't capture my own B-roll if that happened.
All right. Another one from Darkwing Spartan, who actually I was just mentioning this a moment ago. In his initial preview a couple months ago, Ryan said the camera felt much better than the old games. How do you feel about it? And before you answer, I'll just say that now that I got to play a little bit more, it still felt really good to me. But what was your take on the camera?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still feels really good. I think the big thing you have to remember is that this is a modern game that has learned from the mistakes of countless action games beforehand. Ninja Gaiden 1 especially was kind of notorious for its camera. I think mostly that was because a lot of the fights took place in like very narrow kind of corridors, like inside dojos and inside like cramped kind of corridors.
Right from the first mission of the game.
Yeah, and you look at Ninja Gaiden 4 and the fights are largely happening in. There are a couple of tight corridors, but they're larger spaces than you would find in the original Ninja Gaiden. So I think more than just like the camera being better, it's more that just the places that you fight in have more space for the camera to move.
Here's a long question, so let's buckle up, from
All right.
Tough Monster 7, who asks, did you happen to catch whether the Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, 3 classic technique reverse wind is present? And then he kind of explains it. Let's see if we can... I guess that's the bottom line. I'll bottom line it for you.
I feel bad saying a very short answer for this long question, but yes. No, I'm pretty sure it all feels the same as the old Ninja Gaiden games. So if you block...
Yeah, the classic moves are there.
Yeah, if you block, you can very quickly get out of your kind of block animation by just dodging. And you can use that to like block and then get out of the way of like an enemy flurry.
You hit on this a little bit at the top when we were answering the question about difficulty levels, but the next question is simply, how difficult is Ninja Gaiden 4 in comparison to the previous entries? I know it's a little, it's not necessarily quite apples to apples, because hard on this compares to who knows what difficulty level on the previous games, but generally speaking, what's your sense so far of that, Mitchell?
I would say that generally... I would say generally it's going to be easier. I think, again, this goes back to this is a modern game made in 2020 in the 2020s versus Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden 2, which were made much longer ago, or a very long time
20
ago.
20 years, baby,
yeah,
for
20
Ninja
years.
Gaiden
I don't even
1.
want to say it out loud.
Actually,
Ryan.
21, and then 20 for Ninja Gaiden Black.
But the point is that I think action game developers have learned that there's a kind of difficulty that players like, and a kind of difficulty that players don't like. The kind of difficulty that players don't like is playing through a 25-minute section, dying, and then having to replay the whole 25-minute section. So what Ninja Gaiden 4 does is that when you get to a challenging part of the level, it will put a checkpoint right there. You don't even have to do anything. And if you die, you restart that fight. So there were two main spots that I had some issue with. One was the fight right before the boss, and the other was the actual boss itself. And both those times, you die, you restart right at the beginning of the fight. I think one of them even has a checkpoint mid-fight, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. But yeah, so you're doing less of the same things over and over again, which I think is a good thing. That said, don't let that fool you into thinking that this game is going to be easy. I did my playthrough on hard, and once I hit that fight, man, I was stuck there for a hot minute. Anyway, but it's not like there. I always say that when I know when I'm playing a good game, when I die, and I'm not going, oh, it's BS. I'm going, oh God, they got me. And I just I'm excited to go at it again. That's to me that's a sign of a good level of difficulty, and that's exactly what I got with Ninja Gaiden 4.
I'll say for me, I don't know if it's necessarily harder or not. I guess so far it's a little easier, but it's also the first level and the tutorial and the first mission of the game. Now I know some people would be like, well, Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 didn't F around, they kind of get started pretty quickly, but I do suspect we're going to see some harder fights, harder bosses, harder enemies in general as we get deeper into Ninja Gaiden 4 once we get access to the whole thing.
And one more thing that I'll add to that is, while I feel like the game feels like Ninja Gaiden, and I've been playing these games for a long time now, and I feel like I'm pretty familiar with how the dance of combat works. Ninja Gaiden 4 adds this new mechanic of the Blood Raven form, and on Ryu's side, the Gleam form, and you have to find a way to incorporate that into your combat, because enemies will block your attacks until you use the new form to break through their guard. And if you don't do that, they will counter your attack and hit you with a pretty meaty counterattack. So there's a lot of relearning that I had to do of oh, how do I incorporate this new mechanic into what I already know how to do in Ninja Gaiden, which again I felt like it was a really good kind of iterative change that I really enjoyed the challenge of.
Yeah, I would not have survived that stage 1 boss fight without using the Blood Raven attacks for sure. Here's a question we have not spoken to yet. Can you turn off blood? Sort of as a little nod to maybe some younger gamers who might need to turn it off or to get parental approval to play it.
I was a bad game previewer and did not check the settings to see if you could. I unfortunately want the blood, so I did not get to explore the options to check.
Sadly, we would love to just check that for you right now as we're recording this video, but the build has been the build access has been revoked. So otherwise we wouldn't even be doing this video. We'd probably just still be playing Ninja Gaiden 4. But yeah, sadly we don't have the answer to that one, so apologies there. And I would say the same thing for this next one from Daniel, who asks, how much of the story do you play as Ryu and how much as a new character? We don't know yet. We just don't know yet. If this is going to be kind of a Gears of War 4 kind of situation, or more of a Star Wars Episode 7 thing where we're handing off to the new generation and there's very little Ryu. We're just not sure yet.
There might be an interview somewhere out there on the internet where they talk about it. Unfortunately, we did not get to interview them for this preview cycle, but maybe check online. Maybe that answer is out there.
Well, here's a good one, though, from Yoni123. Do you have to learn combos? The NES games, talk about OG gamer right here, the NES Ninja Gaidens are absolute classics, but this seems kind of hectic and button-smashy style of gameplay instead of the intricate and precise platforming of the originals that gave you a real challenge.
So, more than knowing combos, you need to know moves. You need to know how to do a flying swallow. You need to know how to do a quick charge ultimate technique. If you want to play it on the higher levels of difficulty. I don't know how hard easy mode is going to be, but my guess is that mode is balanced in a way where you can just kind of smash your way through it. But if you're going to be playing it kind of at a higher level, you do kind of need to know how to do an Izuna drop, which is X, Y, X, 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 Y, or square, triangle, square, 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 triangle. That's a really important move. You should probably know how to do a guillotine throw. You should probably know how to do shuriken cancel. The Ninja Gaiden 4 takes away a couple of the moves from Ryu's typical roster, or typical repertoire. He used to be able to tap or hold forward and press the attack button, and you would do like a little roll strike, and you would have combos that come out of that roll strike. I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe they've taken out all of the hold forward and press attack kind of combo routes. So now it's more traditional, and you also have combo routes with your new forms. So Blood Raven form, Gleam form, and then you also have like certain command moves like press back forward and triangle to do a certain move. Spin the left stick around and press a button, you'll do a move. And then all the different weapons have a move like assigned to that kind of input. So that's kind of what you need to know. In terms of like actual long combos, I don't really think you're going to have to do anything with that. But you should definitely know how to do an Casino drop.
Yep, well said. And our final question from Mr. Burns Returns says, I never played the original 3. Am I really going to notice the Sigma differences?
I don't really understand that question.
I don't either, honestly.
What I'll
guess maybe just let's just reframe that to if this is your first Ninja Gaiden, what are you jumping into?
If this is your first Ninja Gaiden, you're jumping into a very unique combat system that allows you to kind of freely flow around the battlefield. You can run across walls, you can jump on enemy heads, you can, leap towards an enemy, throw them away. There's just a ton of different things that you can do to enemies, and you really need to find the balance of using all those techniques in the right ways to be able to survive. I always say that the dance of Ninja Gaiden is you're not trying to be cool, you're trying to survive. And in the process of trying to survive, you're looking cool as hell. Whereas the Devil May Cry, where you're just playing around with enemies like they're toys, doing like, the fanciest stuff that you can do just because it's fun. Whereas if you wanted to just survive in that game, you could play it pretty boring like. Ninja Gaiden is different in the way that the stuff that you do to survive will make you feel really cool.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Well, those are all the questions we flagged from the comments. Mitchell, thank you so much for your final preview. At least we're pretty sure we're not going to get another real deep look at this game again, because it's out in, 2 months?
But
October...
if you do want to do another look, hit me up.
Yeah.
I would love to play it again.
Yeah, if Team Ninja just wants to push another build out to us, we certainly wouldn't object. But October 21st is going to be the release date for Ninja Gaiden 4. It's on PC, it's on Xbox, including dropping day one onto Game Pass. It's on PlayStation 5 as well. If you have not watched Mitchell's Ninja Gaiden 4 final preview, check that out if you want to get my first impressions of it from playing it in June. You can find that on IGN and on YouTube as well. Just search Ninja Gaiden 4, you'll find it, no problem. And for everything else in what has been, Mitchell, an awesome year of the Ninja so far, keep it locked right here to IGN.